Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Jay Grant on the Jay Grant podcast. So today we have two special guests on the podcast. We got Kalif and we got Ron. So these guys are super dope. I'm not gonna be doing all the talking, but Kalif and Ron, introduce yourselves. Take your turn. Whoever want to talk first, tell the audience and the fans a little bit about yourselves.
Okay, yes. So I'm Kalif Cotton. I act, do a little improv here and there. I worked together with Jay Grind for like the last 3 years. We've been inseparable. Sometimes a little bit more than I want, but it's been a blessing thus far, and I'm happy to be here tonight.
Awesome.
Nice. And I'm Ron Yu. I was in a few sketch shows with Jay and Khalif, and yeah, definitely great memories that we had. And it was early this year, so yeah. And no, I have a full-time finance job, but I love acting on the sides as a side gig for now. But yeah, it's great.
So it's cool to hear that Ron and Kalif are two actors. So I want to ask you guys, what got you guys started into acting?
Mm, that's a good question. For me, it started in 2019. I worked at a job in Verizon as a facilities technician, a glorified cable TV installer for going on 18 years now. And in 2019, I just was like, man, my job is okay, but there's got to be more here. Like I want to, I'm a right brain type of person. I'm creative. I like to be funny, spontaneous every now and again. But so I went in 2019 and I jumped in with a company called 99, which I regret and I'm very proud of at the same time. But it turned out to be a company that shook me down for a couple $1,000s, and I took some portfolio shots, headshots, full body shots, and started doing background work. And from there it just kind of morphed and meshed into what it is now, which is still a hot mess, but it's a work in progress. But definitely 2019, special year. That's when I first embarked on this journey of acting.
Nice.
Yeah, and for me, I've grown up always making funny videos, trying to make people laugh, through since elementary school to the college and whatnot. But I really started taking a professional approach beginning of this year, and that's when the first gig was pretty much with Harlem's in Living Color, our live sketch comedy troupe. We did about six shows, right? I think we did about six shows together. Well, we did a couple, Jay, and then like I think Khalif, we did a couple, and then I think there was a couple more after that, but then that's when I dropped off. But ultimately, I think that was my first, I think, let's say, call it professional acting gig. And the reason I jumped into it is because like I'm not getting any younger, and I'm just thinking I love entertaining people, and why not try doing that for a job? Because right now, primarily, I work in finance, and it's not a lot of entertaining there. It's yeah, it's just a bunch of numbers and saving money, which is great. But I don't know. I definitely I love acting.
Indeed.
Yo, that's awesome. So both of you guys have a dope background. It's funny, all of us was in the same show, which is kind of cool. In Living Color, guys, check
Yeah.
that out. Dope comedians. So you guys both said something that was like, I feel like even for Ron, it's like it's more than life to just finances. It's more than life to just Verizon. And you feel like, what do you say to actors that are are in similar situations where they feel like, listen, like I don't think acting is a job. Like, what would you guys say to that?
Mm. Well, for me, I would have to say you have to define what your intentions are. If you think that it's just fun and games, I mean, it's a fun side to it, but there's a side to it that requires discipline and requires you to really make intentional moves. You can't just act on autopilot, or you can't be successful on autopilot. You have to really be intentional with everything you're doing, whether it's training, whether it's going and updating your materials, headshots, video reels, acting clips, and networking is probably one of the most important things with acting, just like with any career where you want to be successful at. But there is a grind pun intended, J Grind podcast, there is a grind portion to acting. Um, Definitely, it's not all fun and games. It looks seamless. Some of the best artists make it look like it's easy work, but there's definitely a grind to it.
I would I definitely agree with Kalif. And by the way, shout out Kalif. You got my message about wearing a teal greenish shirt. Perfect. I think this is probably a unique color. But no,
Ada,
actually, I don't know how we both chose this shirt out of all shirts that we have. Like, why do we both choose the one? Anyway.
I got a
Um,
collar on mine. Got a collar on mine.
oh, that's true. Never mind. You're right. You're right. You're right. No, but I will say I totally agree with Khalif in the sense where like yeah, there's definitely a grind to it. And then also just your original question, Jay, about like is it like considering it a job? The crazy thing I feel like when you're younger and you have if you're fortunate enough to have parents take care of you and you don't have to worry about money so much, it's like yeah, it could be like a passion and not a job. Like you could do it and have some. But I think in terms of reality, and this is not to discourage anyone, but it's more like there are bills that have to be paid for, and so people that are on the grind, like whether it's like taking small jobs here and there, just to have nothing like completely full time, just to be able to really support their acting. I think that in and of itself is the grind, and yeah, so I feel like there's a balance of like reality and like passion, and if you can find the balance between the two and be able to work on both, I mean that's where I think the sweet spot is. Which it's not smooth sailing. It's like it is truly a grind. So yeah.
Well, what are your goals in the next 5 to 10 years with acting?
And listen, man, my goal is to survive. My goal for the next 2 weeks is to quit doing background work altogether and finally, get a respectable agent. Like these agencies. Let me tell you something. I'm about to go on a tangent. Here it is. We come into this acting stuff. We got our hopes and dreams in front of us, and we're very, very gun ho about like how we approach this, and we get rejected. One of the biggest things that you have to develop is a thick skin to be able to deal with rejection. Okay. My goal is to just develop a thicker skin. Like my first time getting rejected for a role, it crushed me. Believe it or not, I got in front of the cast and crew for this one short film, and it hurt so bad when they told me, we no longer need you. We're good. We're good. We cast the role. Like I felt like crying. Like really, like it hurt very badly. But my goal is to develop a thick skin, to be able to network more and to get better reps, in terms of agents and management. That's my short term goal. Long term is I want to book a co-star spot on a TV series or something. Definitely, definitely.
Nice. Uh, yeah. It's weird. I would love to say I have a goal. I think every act. I mean, obviously, 9 out of 10 actors' goal is to be on the big screen. I feel like that's like the long term, short term, like immediate, hopeful term. I guess for me, like I've been doing finance. I've been doing like the corporate route for like 15 years, and I feel like one thing I've done there that drove kind of some success was like put my head down, not so much be quiet in the sense of putting my head down, but more like be focused and just keep doing what you have to do to build your trust and credibility with your peers, and also just just showing that you're committed and you know what you're doing. I feel like that really worked in the corporate world, and so I think one advantage of being from that world is like there are some things that are transferable to the acting world where like for me I have a goal obviously like that big red carpet goal, but for me the goal is to like continue to keep my head down and not lose focus and just like keep grinding. I know going
Mm.
back to this word grinding, and I promised Jay didn't tell us we have to use the word grind like 100 times. I promise he didn't do that to us. It just keeps
Yes,
coming
he
up.
did. Yes, he
He
did.
did. He did. You're right. He did. All right. All right. But that was one requirement. You had to come on and say grind at least 100 times before the first 5 minutes. So I'm really trying to grind my way into grinding those words out. Anyway, so
Keep grinding.
keep grinding. No, so yeah, I think for me it's like the goal is like yeah, kind of like Kalip in the sense for like next 2 weeks, like kind of more immediate, like stay focused, keep applying, and just keep auditioning. I feel like the one quote that I've been really being mindful of and like really hits home is like the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I feel like luck is driven by how much opportunities you allow yourself to be in. And so it's like just put the head down, grind, and just like keep going, and then think opportunities will come because of that effort. So
Mm.
that's kind of like, yeah.
Wow, that's great. So what have y'all been like recently? What have y'all like been in? Tell the fans like what have y'all been doing recently to as actors in your craft. What have y'all been getting into?
Man, for me, my last role was back in the spring. Now, Ron has he's going to be humble about it, but let me toot his horn right here.
Dude, anything.
This guy has been doing some serious stuff. Like I'm telling, check his IG out. You got to stalk his IG page. This guy's been doing great stuff. But me, back in I think around either April or May, I did this short film where I played this antagonist that was like wheelchair ridden, just this awful person, and it was difficult, just transforming into that because like usually I'm very playful, very light, and my voice is not like threatening or like intimidating at all. So like kind of transforming into that, it was a very difficult thing for me to do. But that was my most recent thing I went. And then I had a commercial probably a month after that I had booked. But
Nice.
yeah, for me that's it. But go ahead, Ron. Go ahead. Talk about it.
all I gotta say is I will tell you like just from our experience on stage together, all three of us, like like, if I could just say kind of off tangent, but like I love my favorite sketch that we ever did was the preacher one. When you guys are like preaching on stage and you're like screaming for money. Man, I don't know what it is, but like the first time I watched it, I think I laughed the loudest out of any rehearsal that we've done. So like anyways, for those that don't know, like there was a sketch where Kalif and Jay were like playing preachers, and it's comedy, right? So like they played a role where um, they were kind of preachers were like, but their main goal was to get money, donation or as in tithing from everyone, and to make sure, and they pretty much run out of the place with the money. So it was funny because they were singing, and Jay was kind of like the bouncer, like tough like preacher that kind of like made sure people put money in the basket, and then like Khalif was singing. Anyway, I just had to throw that out there. That's my favorite out of when we're just talking about gigs. But aside from that, yeah, I think yeah, I mean, so first 5 months of the year, I was doing like live shows like Harlem's in Living Color, and then I switched to film in June, and yeah, definitely very fortunate for like opportunities that I got, but I don't want to. I'm not gonna toot my, but in terms of like numbers, like I've done about 38 films since June, but that's a mix of like commercials, movies, and short films. More
38
recently,
films. What?
all right, wait. I just mentioned it's commercials, movies, and short films. So
Bro,
it's a
bro,
mix of.
I was just did a Google search the other day. There hasn't even been 38 releases in this year. You did 38. See, this is what I'm
Okay,
talking about, man.
it's a mix of stuff. But that's that I share that because I feel like that approach of like putting the head down and just grinding. And I've been tired for the last 5 months, but I've been like a good tired. So yeah, and so more recently, just doing like random, like I did a web series I just finished last week, and then there's a commercial with like a, I don't know if I'll have to say the name of it, but it's like a pharmaceutical company, a global pharmaceutical company where like I'm gonna play like a clinician and training video. But and then there's a rom com I'm
Thanks.
doing right now, which is it's really fun rom com. It's like physical comedy, and that's my go to. I love that stuff. So just a few things going on.
That's awesome. So I want to ask you guys. There's like a couple of questions. Like, it's just how does your family feel about you guys as actors, and what? I'm gonna leave that question. How does your family feel about you guys as actors?
Mm, 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 mm,
Basically,
mm, 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 mm. I got a lot to say.
mm, you say it. You say it.
Listen, first for me, how it started was my acting career was the best kept secret. If not many people follow me except 90% hair weave pages, but that's besides the point. For the most part, I don't really post a lot of the projects that I'm in, which is very detrimental to anyone's career. Thank you for supporting me with your last podcasting host. I appreciate the support. I love you, man. But thank you too, Ron. But also, in addition to that, in addition to not posting a lot of stuff and my career being the best kept secret at first, slowly but surely, your family starts to get suspect things. Like if if you live alone, that's one thing. But if you have roommates, if you have people, eventually you're gonna start getting audition requests and you're gonna have to start doing these self tapes and people are gonna be listening by the door and then they're gonna be hearing you drop the F bomb and some of those
Mm.
raunchier roles, right? So then from there they're like, are you talking to yourself? And and then from there, your family starts Google searching your name, and then they start seeing photos of me on the internet. They start checking my IMDb page, and then it becomes like, wow, I can't believe you're doing this. I'm gonna just badger you about it all the time. My family has been, for the most part, very positive about it. Upon finding it out. And then you have that side of your family too that always wants to give you this advice. You should be careful about this. Make sure you don't quit your job. You know, um, all of the things that they think is the right thing, and they tell you these things because they love you. But sometimes other people's advice can get in the way because ultimately we have to be honest with ourselves as artists. We're seeking to do things that our family has never really done. Like we're like the first ones to plant that flag as artists. So embarking on this journey of, even sometimes I can go as far as saying, breaking generational curses and doing things that our other family members didn't do. With that comes a lot, sometimes backlash from the ones that we love because they don't understand it, but also support. Our families would love to see us on TV or love to see anything that we're working with, but I be telling them, you need to mind your business, and leave me alone and let me work, let me do my work for real. Yeah, that was a joke. You didn't laugh, but it's okay. It's all right.
Take that one seriously, Khalif. I feel like there's something. Yeah, hope for the best for your family. But no, I would, I mean, I kind of like mirror that. You know, it's never an I don't know. If you have parents or family that go like, yes, do acting, like, oh my gosh, I'm so supportive, that would be really good. But I would say probably 8, 9 out of 10 times it's going to be the more uh,
Go to
risk.
work.
Yeah, go to work. Yeah. So when I was in college, after I graduated college, I was an economics major and a theater minor, and then I asked my dad like I really want to do acting, and then he's like, try the finance route the first couple of years, and then maybe try acting out. Just try it out. So I ended up trying it out and I stayed in it for a while, right? So it's all out of love in the sense where yeah, my parents are first generation Korean parents, and they moved when they're in their 20s, and they they understand the grind. The grind. How many grinds am I in now, Jay? What's the counter say? Like 20 in there.
I guess.
Like
Uh,
11.
okay. So they know that, and they know what it take what the struggles are without having money. So they just I think it's all yeah to Khalif's point, it's out of love. But even today it's like if I ever say like, oh, I did this short film, one of the immediate responses are like, you still have your job, right? So it
Mm.
comes from love, but like at the same time I don't think they understand like the real passion behind it. For some actors, and I feel like I do have that passion, but I also try to be mindful of their upbringing and why their priorities and values are where they're at. So yeah.
Mm. So how does it? So as you guys are getting roles, I know Khalif and I know Ron, you guys been getting roles for the past few months, or in a month or so like that. Within 5 months, how like do you? How is it? How important is it to know that you don't want to be? Do you want to be typecasted or you don't want to be typecasted, and why?
For me, we there's a side to this game. Okay, here's a nasty truth. We're all going to have to be typecasted first and foremost. You'll notice when you're auditioning or when you're submitting to these gigs, the type of roles that you're getting the callbacks for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, I was getting a lot of callbacks for dads, even though I don't have any children. I was getting a lot of callbacks for college professors and police officers. You know what I mean? Because of a stiff rigidness in your being or character. And sometime down the line, we'll run into something called emotional chords, or type of energy that we give off naturally, or maybe we give off a nerdy, goofy energy. For me, that's happened before too. But I say all of that to say that being typecasted is still being casted, and again, if we, just keeping in with that grind theme, a part of that could be the fact that you have to crawl before you walk, in a sense where you have to do these smaller roles, or you have to start as the guy that gets the one line, or maybe you're the police officer that assists the lead character. You have that one or two lines, or you come in as a waitress, as a server, or as a bartender, with one or two lines, and you keep getting these roles until you develop this rapport with the casting directors, and then they'll start giving you, perhaps you can start getting auditions for more media roles. No diddy, but yeah, so with that being said, I'm gonna throw the ball to Ron.
No, I'm in the same page. I feel like the same page. I feel like it's about I remember one casting manager or talent manager was saying, like, I think she's pretty well known in like in the space. I remember she was saying, like, typecasting is a good thing because then you get roles, like how Kalif was saying, like that's how you get roles, and then once you prove yourself with whatever is given, then it's like, okay, we can see there's acting chops, and the diversity comes in, like taking a little bit of a risk, because what is it? These the bigger the production and the bigger the budget, the more candidates there are out there. And if there's a description of tall, handsome, I don't know, whatever, like a football jock, athlete looking
They
dude,
they go they gonna call me back for that role.
yeah,
Let's get that out the way right now. You know it.
so
Indeed.
yeah.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you.
I was gonna say, Khalif, that's how you got that last. So yeah. So it's like, casting directors. I think I remember someone telling me, like, the way agents look at like a page when they get applicants, it's just like little boxes, like little small boxes on there, like dozens of them. And so if they have a role already in mind, they're not gonna click on someone that's like totally like out of left field and like, I'm gonna take a risk with this person, unless they built that rapport, right? You got to build that rapport, you got to build that trust and skill set, for them to know your skill set, to take that risk. But if it's all even playing field, dozens of boxes, you're gonna have whoever, like, from the first look, like dating, you're gonna look at the first look, like, oh, this is what I was looking for, without even looking at the experience. So I don't know. I feel like to that point, typecasting, especially in the beginning, is it gives you a step forward, like an advantage, I think.
Can I add one more? Can I add one more thing to that? The last thing I wanted to say add to this was, we are only as good as our materials as actors. Just like when you're going for a job, you're only as good as your resume or what your qualifications dictates. So if you have real clips that shows you in an office space, okay, that's how casting is going to see you. If you have real clips that dictate you, or that shows you as a college professor, or that shows you as, I don't know, perhaps like an action star, or or in Jay Grant's case, he's very good with the martial arts and other various areas. We our materials, if you want a different array of roles, or if you want to be seen in a different light by casting directors, produce the content that you want. You create your own brand. We are the brand. We are our own brands as artists. So whatever roles you really want to see, like, for instance, I was very interested in period pieces. So I grew my afro out, and I would just portray myself in that light, and so we are as good as our materials. And I'll leave it there, not to get too wordy with it.
So I know earlier, Khalif, you said something about networking. How important is networking? How important is collaborations in this field, in this industry?
It is the number one quintessential way to prosper. In success, you network your way to success and you invest your way to success. And and you can, every trade, every career, every job, you can take those two concepts and apply it to it in whatever way you need to. And acting and investing your way into success is, of course, investing in your materials, your training, number one. Actually, no, not number one, number two. Number one to me is that investing thing. We have the ability now, because we have the internet and we have such a far reach through the internet, to attend digital casting director workshops. There's tons of stories of people who got auditions for big time television series by attending digital casting director workshops where they didn't even have representation. In most cases, to get to those bigger roles, you need reps. You'll need an agent or a management team for the most part. But if you know how to network, and basically networking is just going to where the people that you feel are the most influential in your field, getting around them. And in this field, casting director workshops. That's the best way to do it. Attending, working in a theater, which I'm terrified of theater. I have to admit that, but doing those stage plays or attending those readings, this is a great way to get your face out there with casting directors. And when they start seeing you and getting familiar with you, like, oh, okay, I remember this guy here. I'm going to give him an audition, perhaps, for this next project I'm working on. He has a great look, or, the way he presents himself, I think he would be a great fit for this role. And you didn't need an agent at all to do that, But yes, so investing in your training, investing in your materials, whether it's headshots, reel clips, etc., and casting director workshops. I'm telling you, if you follow that recipe, you can do all the things that I haven't done thus far, And I don't ever want to work background again, ever again, until after this next background gig that I just booked when I'm about to work next week. On to you, Ron.
No, I feel like there's the dollar investment part of it. There's the time investment part of it. It's interesting. Honestly, I do think there's, because I've experienced it, kind of both worlds. I only have a sliver of like the film and acting world so far, but in the corporate world, it's kind of like they work kind of the same in the sense where, like, here's an example. Like, if I tell like family members, like, oh yeah, I did X number of gigs, and in the past like X number of months or however time frame, they'll be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Are you getting paid? Like, that's like the first that question usually, like, it comes off in a way where it's like, oh, it's only worth it if it's paid, right? Like, oh, are you at least getting paid or something, right? And
Right.
I don't see it that way. Like in the corporate world, like to talk to someone in the corporate world upbringing, like if it's kind of like when you start off in your career, you're an intern, and a lot of internships are unpaid, and like similar to in that sense, like, and it's very difficult to get internships. Like if there's a way for corporate people or people not in the industry to understand, it's like it's kind of like how you would in the corporate world, where like you start off unpaid, you're still competing aggressively to get the unpaid job, but then what you move slowly towards like entry level, and you move slowly towards like middle management, et cetera, and you move up, right? Like acting is kind of the same thing. It's like, and then when it comes back to networking, right? Like after a certain level, I think in the corporate world, like networking becomes much more of an influence and weight towards like getting that next role up, right? Like it's about who believes in you, who can vouch for you to get to that next level. And I feel like in acting, it's like to Kalif's point, is like there's so much more competition as you get up there, and if you know someone, it just really just gives you a head start, i.e., which is networking, right? So in my opinion, like it's very important for sure, and it just gets more and more important as you get to like the higher paying gigs or bigger production gigs.
Right.
So, I mean, you guys said a lot of things. I wanted to have a little input. Like, do you believe that? Because you said, Ron, you said something about competition.
Yeah.
Do you really think it's competitive if actors and actresses work together to create film or to create certain things? Since Kalif, we do have the internet, right? I mean, what do you guys
Mhm.
feel about that?
Well,
Kalif? Ron, go ahead.
oh,
Ron
Oh
first.
yeah, yeah. No. So it's interesting. I just spoke with another like actress on set, and she was saying that she had experience doing gigs out in, I think it was California or Florida. I'm pretty sure it was California, and she recently moved here to do acting in New York, and she was like, I love it so much better here because, and this is generally speaking like her experience, but like in LA, like people are for themselves. They don't really, there's not much collaboration. It's like kind of like whatever you have to do to get the role. But here in New York, it's much more like collaborative. And again, I'm not bashing West Coast or anything. It's more like her experience is that. So I think depending on where you live and depending on your situation, there could be that collaboration, and which is definitely, I think, a good thing. I think there's always gonna be that competitiveness, but like, who are you as an actor or as a person, really? Like, are you a person that is trying to help others and as well as yourself to get to climb the acting ladder, if you call it that? But or if you're not, I think, or are you not? Are you more like kind of like for yourself and do whatever you can to get there? I don't know. It's very interesting. I feel like in terms of competition, I think collaboration is definitely healthier. I think people can enjoy the career path more, the journey to being an actor, like let's say the big screen more. I don't know if it's necessary, but it definitely is more ideal to have like that collaboration. I feel like it just helps everyone get through the woes of the acting journey.
That's a great point. And just what I have to add to that is just when it comes to competition, you're never going to miss out on anything that's meant for you. You know, like when we get signed to agents and management groups, for as an example, there's tons of other artists that meet our specific types. There's tons of other actors that's going to be a black guy, 6'1", skinny with lumbar scoliosis and leans to the right a little bit and walks funny, you know. But the thing is, you're not going to miss anything that's for you. You know, collaborating with people is not going to, or helping someone else will never screw you out of an opportunity that's meant for you. So to go back to that competition thing, I think the only competition that we have is with ourselves, honestly. Can I do better than what I did yesterday? That's the only competition. Competing with other people, just like in hip hop or in music, Jay-Z, Nas, the fans are the ones that argues about who's better. Denzel Washington, Jamie Foxx, the fans are the one. Let the fans argue about that stuff. My job or our job is to just be the best version of ourselves in any given moment, space, or time. You know, that's what I'll add to that.
Where can where can the audience find you guys? Can you give them your social media and things like that, where they can find your work and things of that nature? That's really important. Ron, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna be standing on the corner of 20th and 7th for the next hour. So if anyone, I'm kidding. I don't. This is not going live. It's not live, right?
It is live.
This is like, oh shit.
Pre-recording, pre-recording.
Um, no, yeah, mine is. I mean, it's kind of silly, but I use Instagram primarily. It's this Ron is on fire. So like, this girl is on fire. This Ron is on fire. So, oh, no copyright infringement. I was kidding. It's just this Ron is on fire by coincidence. Yep. That's,
Cool. Cool. Kalif?
So now the interesting thing about me, going back to my days of my acting career being the best kept secret, what I would do is after I left high school and got on social media, I would do this weird thing where I would like make myself very difficult for friends and family to find and locate me on the internet. So I would use aliases. I would do little tricky things like flip my name backwards phonetically. So right now, my Instagram page is my name backwards phonetically, Kalif Falak. It's simple. It's like E equals MC square. But you can find me on Instagram at PHILAK underscore DA underscore LOST underscore FOUND. And if you want to know the reasoning for that name, I'm not going to cover that tonight on this broadcast because it'll take too much time for me to get into that. But I'm trying to be better, okay? Just like I just mentioned a little while ago, I'm trying to be better than what I did yesterday. So I made an additional Instagram account after the urging and tongue lashing that I got from my acting coach for hiding my name. And now you can find me on my new page, Kalif underscore AL underscore CEE on IG. please follow, because you'll be competing with the hair weave pages that follows me now, and the Bitcoin scammers. It's really big on IG.
So
Yes.
I'm glad, guys. Please follow them on their Instagram accounts. But I have there's this question I wanted to ask you guys. If somebody was to look at your page, Ron, what, and you guys are actors, in your specific field, what what would you assume that they would say about your page with 1 to 2 words?
Oh man, I want to say right off the bat, like silly and I guess and fit. Well, that's the whole premise of my page. It's like just make silly videos about fitness, and so that's what I would imagine. It's just because that's the content I put out there. Um, yeah, I'd say those two. Yeah.
Okay.
Man, I can't encapsulate my experience in 2 words, my friend. I'm sorry, but I'm going to try. This goes back to my acting coach. My acting coach, April Yvette Thompson, she's great. She's expensive, which is why I had to take out a loan to pay the first class off. But, um, she was constantly on me, about this whole thing, establishing an online identity. And I know this is where this conversation is going, which is very important. But someone looking at my page, the one with my name flipped backwards, they're gonna look like this guy's just a random, I don't know. There's no central theme of it. He posts a lot of AI pictures of himself. He may be, just a random guy. They can't tell I'm an actor from my initial Instagram page, but from the new page, dun, 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 that page there, they can tell that I'm still confused, but I just use my real name now, on this page, so confused, and maybe for some of the women, a little, can clean up a little bit well. But, other than that, as far as acting, yeah, it's still a work in progress. Background. There you go. Background. Those are 2 words.
All right. So since you guys are on the Jay Gron podcast, I want to ask you guys: have y'all listened to any of Jay Gron's music recently? What do you guys think about it? And give me some. Let everybody know what's going on with Jay Gron and his music and what you like about.
Never heard of it. Never heard of him. That name sounds like I don't know what that is. Jake Ryan
This
That's,
guy.
sound like something you got out of a box of corn pops. The toy at the bottom of the Cracker Jack box. You
oh
know,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Oh
Jake
my
Ryan.
goodness, man! You guys
It
are
was
funny,
a
man.
little bit.
No, I'm only teasing.
Yeah.
No, so I'm in conflict with 2 major songs out of my favorite songs of all time by my brother Jay Grime, man. Spark and This World Ain't Nice. And not because only I'm in both of the videos, boom, boom, but also the message in these songs, man. I was there for the video shoots, especially for Spark. And we went church hopping, man. Oh my God, what an experience that was. That was real good. But I'm not gonna get too crazy with it. But those 2 songs right there, Spark and This World Ain't Nice. The world is nice sometimes, not all the time, but yeah, I get it.
Why?
But
Those songs?
I mean, for obvious reasons, man. The message in Spark was really good, man, because I connected with that song because I was a part of the video, number one, but number two,
That's a good reason.
number two, and this is serious though. This is serious. When I first heard the song, and I had a discussion with Jay Grind about it when we were like contemplating how we were going to put the video together, it just started talking to me in terms of like a renewal. And I hadn't heard a song that made me think of a renewal or a baptism, or just kind of like becoming new, like just getting into a new space. And that song put me in the mind of in 2019 when I first started acting. It was like it was a renewal was necessary. Different haircut. I grew a beard out. Just a renewal. You know what I mean? Spark, a new spark. Perhaps going in a different direction or a different course of action. So I connected with that song in that way because it just coincided with where my life was.
I mean, for me,
Just
I'm gonna
lie
go.
and make it up, brother.
No,
Make it
come on,
up.
come on, come on. Let Ron.
Look, Jay, obviously, like we've been talking for a while, and like we did performance together. I mean, it's already tough, like following your page. Like you have acting going on, you got this podcast going on, you got your music going on. But I mean, I definitely listened to some of your stuff. Actually, I think I did watch the music video between when Kalif was also in it, which was really cool. I was like, wow, look at my two guys like doing a
You
video
know
together.
good
But
well you wasn't thinking that when you saw me up there. No way.
I was
You know you
definitely.
wasn't thinking that.
No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, so much going on your page. I mean, I do, whenever you have, like, stories up and I listen to, like, what you have out there, and it's obviously good stuff, Jay, and then, like, but, like, again, like, you do, like, the Gospel Brunch, you got Done in the Dark, the movie that came out with Endurance Productions, you got, like, a lot of stuff going on, right? But, I don't know, it's just really impressive to see how much, like, you're doing now. You're, like, hitting the trifecta, the podcast, music, movies. It's, like, kind of, you know, it's a lot, and it's really cool to see. So, I mean, a specific song. I mean, the one thing I would just say more so to your like core self, like you're just like you literally live up to your name, like you grind. So it's really good to see all that.
Okay, cool. So I want to say, like, what is, because there's a lot of valid information, a lot of information that a lot of people need to sit down and listen to. But like, what would you say to a young actor or young actress that wants to get into it, and they don't know how, and they came to YouTube? What's something y'all would say to them, and why?
Khalif.
Oh, well, definitely. I'll tell them first. I'll ask them a question. But before I give them that answer, and I'm going to give the audience the answer, but I'll ask them a question. What is your favorite? Like when it comes to you, I would ask a young person. Are you funny? Are are you happy? Is this something you really want to do? Like, are you doing it because you see other young people making a lot of money and gaining a lot of fame and notoriety for it? But then even if they do tell me that they're in it for the wrong reason, I'll tell them, start doing plays. And I'm giving advice that I myself am currently not taking because I hate the stage. When that light hits my forehead and that sweat start piling up, oh, no exfoliant in the world can clear away all that dirt and buildup. I'm telling you. But I would tell a young person, start with theater. Start with theater. Do little plays for your class. At school. Start there. And just have your parents involved. Obviously, you want to make sure you have your parents on accordance with you. You don't want to go and make any grown-up decisions when you're a minor, obviously, but theater is what builds those chops, because if you skip that process out, it's going to be very difficult to grow into a fully formed adult like Kalif and have to start from scratch, And there's a saying that I read somewhere where it's like, I'm just paraphrasing, but it's like, you don't want to invest in broken men. You want to invest in children that has a clean slate, because we reach an age where can become stuck in our ways, but children have that clean slate. So make sure you fill that clean slate with theater, with correct things, if that's what you really want to do. And just and remember, be gentle with yourself. If you're not getting the results that you want right away, it's okay. You don't have to be like the person you see on TV that you idolize. Be you, have fun, and be gentle with yourself.
I love that.
I think Khalif's point on theater is like pretty spot on. Especially if you want to know like how much you love acting, because you're like with film it's like you have multiple takes. You start off at a point of a situation that's like it might be heightened or not heightened, but it's not like what the play does is like no cuts and takes. You do the full through and through, building your character on stage from the get go, and no one really stops you. I think I did watch an interview with the cast of Gladiator 2 recently. And Denzel said something really like true, and it speaks to this. Is he's like, and he was giving advice to. He's like, because he's doing Othello with Jake Gyllenhaal, I think in the city, and so he was like, people were at the interview was like, oh, why are you doing theater or something? He goes, well, theater is really acting. Like film is not acting. Film is like, you put in a situation, you show the part and you're done. But like, you get no pauses. It's a 3-hour play. You just go through and through. So he's like, real act. Like if you really want to experience acting, it's theater, somewhere on stage where like you get no cuts and breaks. You just play the part. Anyway, I just wanted to add to that. But aside from that, like me more specifically, I would say like if I give an actionable, tactful item, step is like, man, I'm telling you, like I use Backstage right now, and I only use Backstage, and I've gotten advice of like using all 3 apps of like casting networks and Actors Access, which is like I guess the higher profile productions. But I used to use Backstage, and it's been pretty successful for me. And I think one of the reasons is because like, again, put my head down and just grind. That's number 15. So like, put my head down and just grind. I'm just like, if I refresh my app and I'm like constantly checking for and I apply once I see something that fits my filters. And I think for me, I think it's just a numbers game for a lot of things, like and it's competition. So if you can get in front of the queue as quickly as possible, you'll be viewed faster, right? Like it's just logistically that's how it works. So for me, my advice tactfully is like, just keep at like apply as soon as possible. Be ready to do a self tape. Be ready to do anything and just submit as quickly as possible, because then you're at the top of the papers. Like just like in the corporate world, like you submit your invoice, your resume for an interview. Like the sooner you go, like the sooner you can be reviewed.
Well, man, that was awesome advice that you would say to the youth. Please tell the audience where they can find you again. Tell them where they can find you and see your work and things of that nature. Goodness gracious.
I love that, man. He made you crack. Yeah. Finally, Jay crack. I was like, when are you gonna laugh at him?
I'm just gonna say, just do your Googles. No, that's bad advice. Listen, I'm on social media. I have a new website that's getting ready to come up soon, if I can work out all of the bugs on it. But I don't want to give the link out yet, because it's very unprofessional to give out a link to a website that's still under construction. But Instagram right now is the best bet. I have casting profiles on casting networks. I have casting profiles on Backstage, Actors Access. You don't want to click on nary one of those for obvious reasons, but it's out there. I'm out there a little bit. I'm out there. I'm working on it. On an online identity is something that I'm still getting used to. I'm still really working on. But so I'm gonna go throw the ball to Ron. Yeah.
Instagram at this Ron is on fire. That's it for me. Yeah.
Yo, you already know, guys. This is the J Grind podcast from the BX. We in here. Peace.
All right.